It's reducing the effects of triggers, balancing their diet, making sure they have enough exercise and mental stimulation, awareness of the body, getting rest, sleep, and days off, and avoiding corrections and stress. The bottom line is that if you reduce the number of times the dog practices over-aroused behavior and you increase the number of times the dog practices calm behavior, you're going to be working on increasing your impulse control. So if a dog is barking at the ball or they're pushing before their cue, then you can interrupt that behavior. So we don't want them getting better at that. So the more they practice it, the better they get. You can do it with timeouts. When they make an error, you can switch to obedience training. You can recall the dog to you and restart the sequence. You can crate them for a while, or you can just take a break and go for a walk. Avoiding stress is a matter of short training sessions, giving them days off, changing routine, doing things that your dog likes to do, taking care of basic needs, getting more sleep, speaking softly instead of yelling. And if you have multiple dogs, giving each one quality time. As far as actions and lifestyle, managing and supervision helps prevent the occurrence of undesired behavior. Daily training is pretty important if you're going to be working on impulse control. It's like raising children. Animals are learning whenever they're awake, and low environmental distraction during training. These are all things we've heard many, many times. High rate of ratio for reinforcement of new behaviors, quick succession of repetitions, and increasing training sessions duration slowly, and then having consistent cues. It's stressful for a dog to get different cues, different visual and verbal cues when they're learning, and to interject when you're training, you can interject self-control sessions with physical play and activity so that the dog has an outlet. You know, the longer they spend working on self-control, the more they're going to need an outlet for the energy that's pent up. And lots of play. You know, it's got to be fun, or we won't do it and they won't do it. Play is in the eye of the beholder. It's you can reinforce it with tug, running, fetch games, going for walks, sniffing, hide and seek. It relieves stress, and movement can be an incredible motivator for dogs. It focuses them on you. It builds your relationship. And another thing that you can use is a variety of games to reduce boredom and frustration and anxiety. So body awareness is another factor that I think is super important in impulse control. I use a lot of T-touch when I work with dogs, but it's also really important for them to get exercise. And we also do a lot of rear end awareness, particularly when you're doing balancing exercises. I think it's super important for the dogs to be more aware of their rear end. The body awareness can help reduce anxiety. They're not living in their head as much. They're more aware of their body. And it can increase performance of the for Treibball. So of course, distance is a key concept in Treibball. And when your dog is off leash and out in the middle of the field, they have the freedom to choose their actions, and you really need to train them to make decisions when they're out there. If they're waiting for your cues, they're probably going to be frozen waiting for them. Um, and you want to make sure that all the time you're rewarding your dog for choosing to do the right thing. So if your dog is out there and makes a mistake and you say something like, you know, or something like that, they're going to, more often than not, I see this a lot in all dog sports, the dog is going to go off and sniff or go do something else. Force will not work with distance training. So my inspiration for distance training came from watching the dolphins at SeaWorld, and I thought that was the most amazing thing. How could they get those dolphins to jump that far away from them without putting a leash and a collar on them? And it's all through shaping, but it's an amazing inspiration to training our dogs at a distance. When you're shaping distance work, you want to break your behaviors down into the smallest pieces. Be a splitter, not a lumper, as Bob Bailey says, and make sure that you're always delivering your rewards at a distance. You can be generous when you're changing criteria, and I think it's really important to make sure that you're only changing one criteria at a time. So you wouldn't add distance and duration and more balls all at once. You'd want to do it very slowly and gradually. And make sure to play as much as you train and use super short sessions with your dogs of 30 seconds to 2 minutes. But that, again, it depends on the dogs. So patience is a virtue as far as Treibball training goes. So if you're doing impulse control for Treibball, some of the exercises you can do are obedience exercises like sit until released, down until released, distance sit and down stays, wait, front, coming to front position, leave it, etc. And in Treibball, the exercises that you might want to do are every time you walk into the ring to practice with your dog, make sure they're on a heel and they're practicing impulse control on the way into the ring. To do ball habituation so that every time you're working anywhere, you have some balls lying around, and so they become a neutral stimulus rather than the most exciting thing in the world. Doing weight behind the ball is an impulse control exercise. Balancing without pushing is also. Dynamic position changes or balancing, moving around the ball, and the lily pad game where the dog goes running and then splats into a down. Let's see. Can you do too much impulse control work? It's entirely possible that you can. It depends on the dog. Shy dogs may need more motivation than impulse control work, and field breeds may need a lot of impulse control work. It really just depends on the dog. So pay attention to what they're telling you and what their stress signals are. Ball habituation is a big topic. Just getting the dog to be calm around balls. So really your goal is that you are more important than the balls, and the ball becomes neutral. So have balls sitting around your training area, do obedience with balls nearby, play games and have the balls near you. You could even feed your dog and have balls around the house. Teach impulse control behaviors in other parts of your life, walking, taking walks, going out the door, etc. And if you have a dog that's really excited by balls, you could move the balls slowly around while the dog is in a stay, and then over time increase the amount of movement with the balls and reinforce your dog for doing that stay. You can have your dog watch other dogs play Treibball, but only if they're calm. And no, of course, no teeth, feet, or climbing on the ball. And when you're working with beginning dogs and you're introducing the ball, we don't like to rush into it in our lessons. We would rather have a slow introduction, and especially with an over-aroused type dog. So you want to dial your dog's balancing skills in first. Have them sit behind objects other than balls. Learn how to do a flick push instead of a poke push. Do distance work with them on a mat or something, and then introduce a ball without pushing. And then finally you would introduce your pushing in there. Another way to work with behaviors in Treibball is to use the Premack principle, which is a less likely behavior is rewarded by a more likely behavior instead of treats or toys. First of all, you've got to define what your dog wants, which could be a game or running or sniffing, and then define what behavior you want, which is pushing balls and playing Treibball, and then set up the exercise so that you have everything ready beforehand. And then you get into training your dog, and the dog goes and pushes the ball, and then you have a game of tug together or something that the dog wants. So now we're at a point where these are a number of videos that we have. We're going to play 4 videos. One's balancing, one is a warm-up game, one is the weave ball game, and then there's Ellie's healing with balls game. So I'm going to click on those, and I am like Monica to do some talking about this as it goes on. Whoops. Yep. Where am I? Oh no. Back. Somehow I ended up in the wrong place on my... Hang on a second. Let me get reorganized. There we go. No. There we go. Okay. See if this works. Can everybody who has video see this?
Yep.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Yeah.
The treats bounce on the mat. Maybe I'll use these treats instead.
So this is last rainy weekend. Me and Sandy were working on making this video, and JoJo was very aroused because she hadn't had any exercise, and there was a big rat. If you look right behind me where I was standing there a second ago, there's a rat in a cage. And I was struggling with the treats bouncing. So this was a good example of, it's really jumping really fast. I don't know if it's on everybody's screen, but the idea with the balancing is that the ball is there, and if you'll notice in this case that we don't have it in a basket, we have it in a box. And let's just play that again, Sandy, if we can. It's pretty short. And so the ball is just there, and she's ignoring it. So we're practicing impulse control by having her not push the ball, and we're also working on orientation, which is, of course, critical to get her always to move to the other side of the ball and be ready to push the ball straight towards me as I, if I was outside and I could increase distance. And so this is really critical for if she did get overexcited and bump the ball, then it's not going to roll, so she's not going to be rewarded by rolling the ball. So that's really important. And so she's getting a lot of reward for basically, number one, ignoring the ball, or excuse me, not touching the ball, and for being in the correct orientation. So balancing, lots and lots of balancing. We've done tons of that. Now this is this was a little hard to show in this video inside, but it's, oopsie, where'd it go? So this Sandy calls the warm-up game. So basically the idea is that you've already introduced the mat. The mat is very strong. Then you're adding the ball, and it's a little hard to see in the video, but I'm gradually increasing or changing my angle from going from the side to the mat, and the ball's just off to her side, and then I gradually pivot myself around so that she's going around the ball a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and this was a critical exercise for us because her big issues were bumping the ball on her way out and on the send. So, oops, that's not the right video. So that is either a warm-up, and the goal of this is to get them used to going past the ball without getting over-aroused by it. And then I don't know what this one is, Sandy. So let's see what we have here. This is a weave ball game. So I think this is, this is just healing through the ball. So we're getting the dog used to, again, ignoring the ball and practicing impulse control around the balls. The balls are just there, and we're keeping the dog focused on me, and the balls are just our obstacles.
So the balls are all set up in a line here, and it's like a slalom course.
Oh, thanks, Sandy. And then we have one more, which was just on the Nate Facebook page. Was it Ellie that posted it? A lovely example of healing around scattered balls. And
oops.
Oh, that one's not working. It's it's a Facebook. It's a Facebook link, so it's not going to act like a YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody already saw it.
I might be able to get it off of your email here.
I noticed it looked weird in the email, so I don't know if it'll work. But so that's Ellie. Is that you? Are you here? Are you on mic here?
Yeah, that's us.
Nice.
Monica has a weakness for try Aussies.
Aussies are the best. No, all dogs are great. So yeah, nice job of off-leash healing around the balls, keeping attention on the handler. Lovely. So, Sandy, should I talk a little more about my experience with JoJo, or do you want to go back to your slides and then we'll come back and do personal experiences with everybody?
Sure. I think I only have like one more slide, so if I can manage to get it back up again. Why don't you go ahead and chat while I figure this out?
Yeah, so I might hit on a few things that Sandy already mentioned, but with JoJo, she was a puppy, so I went straight from puppy class to Treibball, and she's very high arousal, and I was, learning, and I think we made the mistake of introducing balls a little bit too quickly and not responding quickly enough when we saw the over-arousal. So I really emphasize what Sandy said, that you need to assess your dog, and then when you see any sign of the dog's arousal with the ball, you want to go, okay, hold on, slow down on the introducing the ball to the dog, because if they get in the habit, again, if they practice that behavior, if they get in the habit, then the funnest thing that they could ever do is push the ball away from you across the field, which is obviously not the game. So let's see. So I had the things that JoJo, the way she exhibited her over-arousal with the ball was, being super excited seeing the ball on the field. An increase in barking. She would bump the ball on a send. She would push the ball away from me. When she did push it, it wasn't directed toward me. Does anyone else have any other experiences with their over-arousal with Treibball they want to share?
Well,
You said pushing.
Hang on
Sorry,
a
this
second
is Lisa.
before we get into discussion. I'm going to finish the slide. So I have a slide here that's resources, and I've listed the Treibball handbook and videos that I did. And we at Living with Dogs, we also do online coaching. There's a bunch of resources on the National Treibball page, and the NATE webpage, and also on the members Facebook page. So if you're interested in any of that, you can, I will make a PDF of these slides and have them available as well on, I'll see if I can put them on the files on the Facebook page. This is
Nice.
one of my grandmother's favorite sayings is, inch by inch, life's a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. So I say that to myself every day. And I think one of the hardest things I've had to do as a trainer is to learn to slow down and add criteria incrementally instead of jumping. And I think I have to remind myself of that every day. Last slide is keep calm and push on. So now I had one more thing that I wanted to say, kind of a general announcement to everybody. We just got the Hodges Badge Company to make the NATE logo a stock image, and so you can now order NATE specific ribbons for your all your events that you're going to do and you're going to organize. And so we also have the NATE titling ribbons, and you can earn one of those by making a video, going to the NATE website, members section, then to competition forms, and the video titling submission form. So submit your video for a novice run. And we've had a number of people now. Does anybody know? Monica, do you know how many have earned?
I don't have a total. I'm going to guess around 12. I'm just going to guess.
Yeah, so it's more and more every day. So now we're at the point.
Do you have any intermediates?
What'd you say?
Do you have any intermediates yet?
No, no one has submitted intermediate yet. I'm working on it, but I haven't gotten there.
Okay.
Yeah, you're almost there. So now we have discussion points, and so basically I've listed a bunch of questions here. We can talk on these or anything else you want to talk about as far as impulse control. So we'll do that for a few minutes, and then I'd love to spend a little time just chatting with people. So what are your dog's triggers? Anybody? How about Ellie?
Okay, well, my one dog, food is definitely her trigger, my Merle. And honestly, my red guy from the video, my Try, he's really figured this game out, and used to be he just wanted to push, 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 but he's figured out, we've practiced a lot of that impulse control stuff, a lot of healing, a lot of recalls through, things like that, and he's actually gotten to the point where he waits for direction before he does anything, which is, I mean, but that's 2 years of solid practice on it. So, but yeah, when we take it outside, we're going to have some challenges because he's a critter kind of dog. So we're going outside in the spring. We'll see what happens.
Awesome, thank you. And anybody else? Amanda, since I can see you, what are your dog's triggers?
By anything? Well, my girlie that I'm probably retiring her because I think it's too much on her back. Anytime I would work with her, she just would go mental. She's like, I love working. I want to push this. You want to push this? You want to push that? Oh, there's weed poles over there. Let's go weed. Oh, there's a tunnel. Hey, there's a guy. Hey. So really bringing her in, I would have to take a lot of breaks. And like, oh, okay, so I'd do like nose touch games, and or we'd go outside, have her go to the bathroom, get some water, and just has such a high drive to please me. It was hard to get her to bend around the ball, to push straight. And that's pretty much like where we stopped before her back got tweaked. So that was a challenge that I kind of wanted to talk through. One of the teachers I was with suggested putting sand into a ball because she would get over excited and pretty much like do a field goal kick with the ball.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I put sand in one of the balls I used with Morgan because in the beginning, only like a quarter cup, not a lot.
Yeah.
But that was enough to slow it down on a mat.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was less satisfying because it didn't go flying across the room. So I think that does help.
Who is this talking?
Oh, Harriet.
Oh, hi, Harriet. Yeah. Great. Yeah, so say who you are when you start talking. Let's see. How about another question? How do you practice arousal to calmness? How do you install your on and off switch? How about Cindy? Are you still with us? Are you muted? You are muted. Okay. Somebody's called in on a phone and I don't have a name for them. You want to identify yourself? Hello?
Well, I'm on the phone. This is Harriet. If you only have one phone, it's me.
I've got you. No, there's somebody else. There's actually Janet.
I'm on the phone. Can you hear me?
And what's your name?
My name's Janet Kester.
Oh, yep, I see you, Janet. We've got your name on. There's one more person out there. Oh, not listening, I guess. Okay, let's see. Who's got Lisa? How do you practice arousal to calmness?
For my border collie, it's getting him in a downstay of any kind, whether it's on a mat or just wherever we're practicing. Because if he keeps moving, he's over aroused. So stopping him, and I've struggled with him on this too. He's 3 years old. I've only had him for 2 years. He's really only been doing Treibball for 1. So we have a lot to work on, but he's over aroused fast. And when he gets really chatty, he's not a barker, but he'll start this kind of weird noise. I know he's had enough. So it's get him out of there if I have to, or like I said, a downstay.
Right. Yeah, good. Monica Martin, how do you practice impulse control? Monica, are you there? Okay, Nancy. How about Nancy?
Yeah, I'm here. One way that I have practiced, because Tyler's big trigger is pushing the ball. We've made it into such a big game for him that he can't resist. Even push the cat through the kitchen floor, learning to push. But anyways, we've been practicing doing recalls where he's behind the ball, and I do a recall where he doesn't push the ball, but he comes to me. We started at short distances, and then I worked to the side of the ball, so it's not as tempting. But that's kind of how we've worked through our arousal with the pushing of the ball, where we incorporate the recalls.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So Tracy just arrived. Welcome, Tracy. And so let's see. Other questions. Where do you practice? How about, I pretty much practice at my field. I don't, and we practice at home a little bit. Let's see. Harriet, where do you practice?
Well, this winter I'm practicing in my basement. A few years ago we had a fortuitous flood down there, so we emptied it out and turned it into a training space. And I can do 35 feet down there. But I also have a 60 by 90, used to be a riding arena that I can use when it's warmer on rainy days.
Nice.
And then I'm very lucky as I do agility at a indoor soccer field, and I get to trade out some training time there. That's where I set up to trial. So I'm very lucky with training space.
Excellent. That's awesome. And
nobody lives near me to do it too, by the way.
Oh.
I would share.
Yeah. Let's see. Nancy, where do you train?
I train in a indoor facility. It's a large, just like an empty giant. It's not an arena or anything. It's just a big building that has an empty space in it where Shape a Putt has their training classes. I've also used some of the baseball or softball fields in the local parks where when they're vacant, they have fencing around them. And once in a while I'll go out there just to get a different environment with different distractions and work it out there. That's all I have. In Texas, we have warm weather all the time.
Nice. Maybe too warm sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Suzanne, you're muted right now. Do you want to come back on board and tell us where you train?
I train in my house. The weather's not nice outside. I can get a decent distance between two rooms, and then I also usually have a class once a week at a training facility that has soccer turf, and we've actually set up little exercises in there, and then we've also laid out a actual goal and area where we did some novice legs. We practiced that there too. So it's a really nice facility, but we have like class once a week.
Nice. Thank you. All right. Does anybody have any questions about impulse control?
This is a really nice presentation, Sandy. Will it be somewhere we can get back to it to refer to the points you've put in here?
Yeah, I'm gonna publish the PowerPoint thing, and I'll try to put it on the file section on the members only NATE Facebook group, and we also will have the recording available for people. So, thank you. I spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah, it's really
I
good.
could tell.
A lot of late
Very
nights.
nice.
So, yeah, go ahead.
This is Cindy. This is earlier in the presentation. What is a flick push? Like, how would you describe that?
Using the top of their nose instead of the front of their nose. So when they flick their head up, it puts a little spin on the ball. And, you know, I teach my dogs to target to the top of their nose. I have a video on this somewhere, and so that they can, you know, and I also want them to hit the ball below the equator of the ball, if that makes sense, so that they'll push it further than just poking it in the middle. Or if they poke it on the top, you're going to get some backspin on it, so it doesn't go as far.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
This is Nancy. I have a question about when you're training, like the ball's in a corner and your dog is trying to get the ball out of a corner and practices that. What have you had that come up where you've had some impulse control issues with them doing that?
Getting frustrated? Well, I think there's two pieces. If you break down that corner behavior, we work in an outdoor arena that has loads of space. So we work really hard on having the dog learn to drive the ball in straight, but also to learn to manipulate the ball, so that if you put like 5 chairs out in a row, maybe about 10 feet apart from one another or 8 feet apart from one another, and have the dog drive the balls like they're through the chairs like they're weave poles. So it's a slalom course for the balls. They learn to get around the ball. And that exercise has been so helpful for so many dogs. Once they start doing that, it's really helpful for ball pushing, impulse control, for getting around the ball in tight spaces. And so that's, I think, the other piece of corner balls is that your dog has to be brave enough to push the ball out of the way, to kind of get their body in between the fence or the wall so they can get on the other side of it. So that's a confidence exercise.
In the building that we train in, there's a lot of the dogs in the class will tend to, and I don't know if this is an impulse control issue, but they tend to push the ball into the wall, and the ball will bounce off the wall. Then they'll pick it up and drive it in. It's like cheating.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they get them in the corners, and we've been having them try to work it out. And I didn't, you know, sometimes maybe it's more frustration than impulse control. Well, they can't get it down to the corner.
When they're frustrated, they don't have impulse control. So
yeah.
I had one thought with remembering one exercise you had us do, Sandy, which was to help JoJo drive the ball straight toward me, was to do a push exercise beginning really close, but she would be rewarded only when the ball touched my legs. Mm-hmm. Like if she pushed it past me, I wouldn't say anything. We would just kind of start the exercise over again. But when she actually pushed it and it touched my legs, then she got the reward. And it seemed like that really helped her narrow her directing the ball with her push.
Mm-hmm. She has a target then. Yeah, my dogs respond to that really well too. Anybody else have any questions about training or impulse control? We'll open it up wide open. You can ask any question.
Amanda here has a question.
Hi.
So, does anybody else? I mean, all mine are corgis, so they're herders, and they bark, and they bark, and they bark, and they bark, and they bark. I'm like, go do this, and the whole time they're barking, barking, barking. Do we ignore the barking? Is it okay? Does it just depend on the dog? And we want them to be quiet, or is it just, again, does it just depend on the dog and maybe why they're barking?
Monica, why don't you answer that one?
So yeah, I got an Australian Shepherd, and the way, and we have another Australian Shepherd that trains with us and who was there before us and has barks constantly. So I was like, okay, I want to try to avoid getting into that scenario. So I have tried to limit the barking, and I do view the barking as over-arousal. So I'll go to obedience if she's barking, like when I'm heeling up to the ball or when I'm about to send her. Then I figure, okay, that's over-arousal. But during her actual run out to the ball and push it in, she barks like crazy. And I'm figuring that's breed appropriate, because Australian Shepherds bark while they herd.
Right.
So so that's my line that I have drawn. And so I treat it as an arousal issue when she's barking, except during the drive back in. But it's challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you could teach them not to bark at all.
I don't think. At least like my puppy Norm, I know, he kind of like winds up to bark sometimes. He's like, and I go, no, and he goes.
Sometimes you can take all the motivation out of the dog if you stop the barking too. So that might be. But some point, there's a lot of people who don't like the barking, and if it's too much, and the dog is just standing still and barking at you, then you've got a bigger problem. If they're actually playing the game and moving, then it's probably hurting behavior. And what can we do about that? I brought up that slide of the continuum of like, where is your dog on this high arousal to low arousal continuum? And so you might be like me, wondering, how do I get my dog down to the low arousal part of it? And is that even possible with my breed? And maybe I can get them halfway down, and that would be a huge accomplishment. But to get them all the way down, it would just take a lot of work. And so at some point, I think Monica made a decision after she was not making any progress, because she'd always stop the game when JoJo even whined. And so finally she decided the best way to do it was to allow her to bark when she was pushing. So
this is Holly. I'll make a comment about barking. I have isolated. That's my dog. Move my chair a little bit. I have Icelandic sheepdogs, and they have, even in their breed standard, it says it's a herder who barks. But actually, the funny thing with Truffle, who's a pretty high, very excitable, sometimes hyper dog, she does not bark while she's pushing. When she really barks is, I find because I train at our training center or I train in my yard, there's 2 times to bark. If she's feeling frustrated, like I keep sending her to the ball, maybe she is a little confused or she doesn't see the 5th ball or something like that, she'll turn and bark at me, and I think that's kind of frustration. She's not quite sure. But the main reason she barks is if there are other dogs in the, she feels a huge amount of pressure if there are other dogs working sort of outside our little Treibball area in another part of the room, and she gets very, very stressed at that. And if I try to send her out and there's a dog back there, she'll bark a lot. And the way I'm dealing with that is I've pretty much decided that when we actually make the videos, there just can't be any other dogs there. I mean, I just accept the fact that this is just too much stress for her, and she works better when she's 9 years old. I just don't I can deal with that. And I mean, she works very well as long as there aren't other dogs that she feels very much pressure about them. So I just am sort of accepting that's her personality that I'm just working this in the way that I can work with it.
Right. Well, good. There's someone who's identifying themselves as Lors. Lors, can you turn your audio on for a minute? You're muted. There you go.
Hello.
Is this
Actually, it's Laura.
Laura? Okay. I thought that might be the case. Did you have any questions, Laura?
No, I just came in to it, and I was going to listen to it, and I'm getting ready to go to my Treibball practice right now.
All right. Oh, excellent.
So I was going to listen to it. I'm going to switch to my phone and listen to it on my phone on my way over.
All right. Good. Well, we're going to wind up probably in the next 10 minutes, so hopefully you won't miss too much of it.
Okay.
So any questions? Where do you practice?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
All right.
And I practice at the Palms with Irma.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And great. Nice to meet you, Laura.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to switch over to my phone now.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. We had other, any other questions, anybody?
I'll ask a question if nobody else has one. I'm helping somebody who has a very high, very excitable, very high drive dog, kind of a part lab, so pretty good sized dog. And I'd like to have some little games or exercises. This dog comes in so hard at that ball. I mean, she's got great drive, and that's wonderful. And she's got pretty good impulse control as far as sitting there until she tells her to push. But when she pushes, and we're working indoors, and that ball just goes, her initial push is so hard, and I'd like to think of some games and ways that we could try to teach her to push it like less. It's hard to get several pushes in because she there's one push and it'll go 50 feet if somebody didn't catch it. And we have tried sanded ball, and that does help somewhat, but there must be some little games or something that we could use to maybe teach her to be a little less strong on.
Sandy, we lost your volume.
My husband's crackling plastic, so I just decided to mute myself. But the game that I described with the chairs, so you put maybe 5 chairs in a row 8 feet apart, and then you drive the ball like it's through a slalom course, or to the right of one chair and then to the left of the other. It has the effect of not only teaching the dog to work their way around the ball to be, I call it dynamic balancing, but it also is impulse control because they have to be kind of focusing a little bit more on the job. That might help.
Yes, that does sound good, and I wrote, this is Holly again, I wrote that one down as you were talking about that. I thought, oh, that sounds like a good idea. One thing that I've done with Truffle that I've found to be really nice, because I want to be able to get her to move from one ball to a different ball, like say she's pushing the ball and then that's not really the ball I wanted her to bring. I want her to be able to move to another one without making her feel like it was wrong to push that ball, but just that it's a good thing to be able to move to a different one. So I've done some exercises with her where she's pushing and then I'll toss a treat off or give her a sit and then a treat really fast so that she can kind of break off in the middle of that pushing, which is a lot of enthusiasm, and sort of stop and go off to one side to get a treat, and that works nicely with her. With this dog, this other dog is much more of a beginner, and I don't want to do anything to discourage her because she has great enthusiasm, but the chair exercise sounds very good. We'll try that.
Holly, the one I described, pushing to my knees, Also, I think was critical in helping JoJo push less hard.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bad feedback. I don't know if you guys hear it.
Yeah, I don't hear you.
Okay, weird. Yeah, so JoJo has the same thing. She, especially when she started, she would push the ball all the way in with one push.
One push.
And after we did those exercises that Sandy described, and also just having her push to my knees and getting the treat when it came to my knees and not if it went flying by me, she started to learn, oh, if I push gently and it just touches her knees, then the treat's right there.
Yes, yes. No, that's a good idea.
Great. Does anybody have any examples of increasing one criteria at a time when they're out there, say, trying to increase distance or increase the number of balls? Has anybody had any issues with increasing, say, from 3 to 5 balls and having more arousal or frustration or anything like that? No? Okay.
Well, I can't speak to that if no one else wants to. So I love your use of the word greedy, because I feel like for me, and I'm probably not the only one, I get aroused about the balls, right? I want to play the game. I want to get to 6 balls and push them in, and it's fun, right? So not being greedy, and yeah, so I took JoJo from 3 balls to 6 balls too quickly, and I keep having to go back, and because of over-arousal. So I think that if I had been less greedy and more patient, and just done 4 balls for a while, and then done 5 balls for a while, until she was really solid before, instead of bumping it and go, okay, let's just try 6, So don't be greedy like me.
So you've done a great job, Monica, of creating a training log where you keep track of how many criteria you're raising at one time. You want to talk about that? Because that's been
I posted that a while back when I realized that I had screwed up, and it really helps keep myself in control, because then I can go, okay, oh wow, I went to 6 balls and then everything fell apart, and back 3 weeks ago when I went back down to 4 balls, everything pulled back together. So, let's go back again to 4 balls. And so it just helps me see what I'm doing and not forget, and so you guys can see that. It's on the forums on the NATE members Facebook page.
All right. Anybody else? How about random discussion topics? Nancy?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in about the raising the criteria. My dog has anxiety issues with people, so the criteria that I've been raising with him is when he's really good at bringing, we're up to like 8 balls that he can bring in, but the thing that the criteria that we're raising on him is when there's people around, he won't go after a ball if there's a person too close to that ball. So we've been raising our criteria by, a distance. A ball will be in the vicinity, and I'll ask him to go get it, and a person will be like 10 feet away from it, or we'll see what threshold he can go through. But that's how we've been raising the criteria, is getting people to get closer and closer where he can go out and be comfortable yet bringing it in without getting too anxious about it.
That'll be helpful too if you ever have a judge out there and scorekeepers and timers and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had that issue before with JoJo when I'm out there with a camera trying to shoot her runs, and she gets a little antsy about, now she doesn't, I don't think. Does she, Monica?
No, I think she's gotten used to it, yeah.
But at one time, I think with a stranger, she might. be a little bit more
Yeah.
very, but she's done a lot of demos and that really helped her too. Let's see, Lisa,
Yes.
what about raising one criteria at a time? Do you have any wisdom on that?
Go slow, because I think we all tend to, and I do it to myself as well, push too fast, too far. And then I, sometimes see my dogs fall apart and go, this. And, it's just back it up and I'm thinking a chart would be good for me as well too, so that I pick one thing and then go from there to move up to the next thing. I can't remember who said it, but having too many balls out there, I've done that as well too. It's like, but I want all them balls out there, and my dog's not ready. So yeah, definitely pushing too hard. Take your time.
Mm-hmm. Take your time. Build your foundations.
Your dog will appreciate it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Harriet, do you have any input on that?
Well, I think early on I started having the pushing too early too, and what I had to do for a while is take the balls away and push something else. So we pushed jugs, we went around boxes and did all sorts of things before we reintroduced the balls. And now I don't really, my problem actually is not arousal. My dog's a Labrador, but she's English bloodlines, and they tend to be calmer. And now that she's, got the idea of the game pretty well, it's just, she doesn't go out like, I need to share some of the enthusiasm from the Aussie owners, because she seems to really like doing it, but she doesn't see the need to rush, So I have to spend a lot of time getting her excited again. But I like everybody else, I did things too fast in the beginning.
Right.
Well, Harriet, the thing is, the rules for Nate are set up so that all breeds really, you have plenty of time. No,
she has plenty of time. It's just that when you're standing there watching her, it's like, can I go have lunch before she gets to the ball? I mean, she's
no.
It's what it feels like. I mean, she's well within time limits, but if you would look at her videos, you would see that.
I think she's wonderful. She just, she just trots out there, and she knows what she needs to do. It's perfect.
Yeah. And she would stay behind the ball while I went to have lunch too. I'm sure she would. But anyway, yeah. No, I'm listening to these issues, and that's not the ones I have. But I may have a dog like that someday, so I want to learn.
Nice. Monica Martin, are you? Do you have any comments on raising one criteria at a time?
I think she left.
Yeah.
That's me.
I have her. Is that you? Okay. All right. Let's see. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up on that, unless if anybody has anything burning issues or questions to ask. So how is everybody doing? We had a discussion last meeting on our Treibball New Year's resolutions. I think we've had probably 3 weeks of rain last month, and so we meet outdoors, and so we've had to cancel on that a number of times. So we haven't made a lot of progress on ours. Was anybody at that meeting? Harriet, you were.
Yeah. And I said I was going to play more with Morgan. And we actually have been playing in our training sessions, doing more playing. She loves fetch. It's her favorite thing. So we've been doing more of that. And I have 2 dogs that train at once when I'm in the basement. One stays in a crate while the other's out. The others, I've been letting them out together to wrestle a little bit between playing. And I think that's better for them.
Nice. Ellie, how about your New Year's resolutions?
Well, okay, so Kim and the group in Ohio here, we finally have identified a place where we can move outside in the spring. Not right now because it's cold, but we've found a fenced area. We're going to work on it, and we're going to start practice. Well, we're going to start classes out there in the spring. So hopefully we'll finally have enough space to do our novice title. So hopefully it will come.
Nice.
But we want to practice out there a little while because, like I said, Rooney's a little animal crazy, so he's going to be fascinated when we get out there. Because, it's someone's farm space. Well, someone's, not actively a farm, but that type of environment, so it's a fenced area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to him.
Nice. All right. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Going once? Going twice?
Actually, this is
Yeah,
Laura
Amanda.
here. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Will this be? Is this recorded? Can we go back and listen to it somewhere? Because I came in really late, and I know some more friends that might want to listen to it.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't hit the button right away, but you will have the slides as well if you go to the Facebook group.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure thing. Amanda, did you have something?
Wasn't at the last one because I do agility at 7:30 at night on Fridays. It's a better way to spend my Friday nights. But I love the idea of New Year's resolution. One of mine is to finally get my butt together to try to get a couple of people at the training facility I'm at to join Treibball with me. So there's this one lady in my agility class right now with a German Shepherd, and she's like, "Oh, my dog loves playing with balls. She'll push him around and stuff." I'm like, "That's great, but when we do this, we're going to step away from that." And we're going to work everything else, but I love that. So she actually asked me like a week or two after my instructor first mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh, she remembers." So I'm like, "Hey, there's one student." But I think with my, my goal, my last year resolutions with my girly have to change. Life changes, and it's tough to sometimes, accept it, but with my little man, I'm going to try doing Treibball with him because I think that would be a really good outlet, and he's 1 year old, and I've done everything early agility-wise I want to do with him for training, a training path, so I'm just working random nose touches, and this past week he'll nose touch my toes if I ask him to.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome.
Well, that's my resolution.
I don't remember when the next event is. I should have looked that up beforehand, but I'll see if I can find it real quick. I don't know if we put it on. I don't think we put it on the calendar yet, but it'll be a month from now, so early March. And if we have Monica, do you have anything on dates?
I couldn't hear you. Say that again.
Do you have anything on the dates as far as the next meeting? Sounds like Thursday.
Yeah, I don't have anything down, but a month from now would be the 3rd of March. So let's say that, the 3rd of March at 4:30.
You want to do it on a Thursday or a Friday?
I can't do Fridays. So it's up to you. But we don't have to set the date now.
Okay, we can talk about it. Sounds like we had a pretty good response on Thursday. So
Yeah, really good.
I'd be willing to do that again. All right, everybody. It's been really nice to have you all and to share a little bit of time together. And I hope that we'll be able to see you again next time.
Sandy, thank you so much for putting together that amazing PowerPoint.
Yes, thank you.
Very much. Very good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for coming. Take care.
Bye.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.